Hello, everyone. Welcome to Psych 5 Personal and Social Awareness. Welcome to week 8. And I feel that this week has been passing so quickly. And this week is our 8th week already. And we have 18 weeks for this semester, for this class. So it's almost a half of the course, a half of the semester, and we can continue learning about how to improve ourselves, uh, how to make ourselves have a personal growth. And for this week, the main topic is about interpersonal relationships. So I think it's a topic that is worth learning and worth improving for the entire life. So it's a topic that is about everyone's life. About it's a topic that we need to learn how to deal with for our entire life. So when we are young, when we are children, we need to deal with interpersonal relationships. We need to learn how to improve relationships with others. And when we are adults, we need to learn how to deal with the relationships with others. When even though we become old, we become older adults, we need to learn how to interact, how to have good relationships with others. So I think that today it's we also even we talk about some topics about relationships today, but in the long run in your life, it's a topic that you need to or you can concern about, you can learn about, you can improve the relationships with others. So last week we have talked about love, and we have talked about what true love is. We have talked about how to love others. And actually last week's topic is really closely related to this week's topic, relationships. So in the textbook, it covers a lot of topics about relationships, but in this lecture, we can cover some of the topics about relationships. So let's start. So before the lecture, let's watch this video. First, it's a video clip from the movie called Anger Management. Let me see what happened. Yeah, it works.
Easy. Can I get a hit? Certainly. Thank you. Miss?
I'll be right there, sir.
Where's your headset? She's busy right now, but it's coming. For crying out loud, you're missing important plot points. Ma'am?
Could you give me a second, sir?
Could I maybe get that headset, please?
Do not raise your voice to me, sir.
I wasn't raising my voice.
Okay, just calm down.
I am calm. I just want my headset.
Sir, our country is going through a very difficult time right now, and if you're not going to cooperate...
I don't know where a headset ties into patriotism.
Is there a problem here, sir?
I don't think so.
Can you come to the back of the plane with me so we can have a talk?
To talk about what? There's not a problem. This steward keeps
Flight attendant.
the flight attendant keeps ignoring me when I ask.
Calm down.
I am calm. What is it with you people?
You people.
Oh, no, wait a minute. I don't mean you people. I mean you people.
Sir, I will not tolerate any racist behavior on the plane. This is a very difficult time for our country.
I know that. I'm not a racist. I just want to watch the movie.
I'm only going to say this one more time, sir. Calm down.
Oh, calm!
All right.
What do you think?
Not guilty. It's a no-brainer.
Mr. Busnick, in case 723, assault and battery against a flight attendant, I find you guilty.
It's a really interesting video clip I found online, and you can see in the video that both sides misunderstand each other. So the flight attendants are ignoring the guest, and the guest is like really annoyed, is angry at the flight attendants, and there's some misunderstandings going on. And apparently, both sides cannot deal with their anger, deal with their aggression toward each other well. So it's a really funny video clip, and it may not happen in the real world settings, but it's it's a summary of what people have been doing in their daily life when we interact with each other. So I think it's a really funny video clip that is, and also that video clip is close to the topics that we want to talk about for today. So here's a question for you. What is a good or high quality relationship like for you? So you can find someone you can talk to right now, or you can find yourself and share your understanding about this question to the person you can talk to or to yourself. And you can spend a few minutes to share your story. So what is a good relationship like? So for you, for your understanding, what are the characteristics of a good or high quality relationship? So you can pause the video right now and answer this question. And right now we can start to talk about meaningful relationships, the relationships that are really meaningful and important for our lives. So here are some keywords about relationships that are meaningful. So let's see some of these keywords. So first of all, in the relationship, the two persons have separate identities. Means that they identify themselves as separate individuals. They are not together. They are two different people. They are two different individuals. They are not one person, I should say. So why I mention this, why I talk about this, because sometimes people have a blurred boundary between the two persons. They think that the other is part of the self, but it's not the case. When we believe that the other person is a part of ourselves, some problems may occur. We may have some unrealistic expectations of the other, because we think that, oh, this person is going to do something and is going to say something that we want them to say or to do, but it's not the case. We are separated. We are not connected. Our minds are not really connected. We need to communicate We need to interact to know each other, and we have no rights to control other people. We only have the right to control ourselves. And also another keyword is equality or being equal. And sometimes if the two persons in the relationship are not equal, that causes problems. We only have the true communication. We only have the true relationship. We only have the true love between each other when the two persons are equal to each other. And also, to have a meaningful relationships, we need to give the honest, the true feedback to each other. And also, we need to give the feedback that is respectful. We need to expect the dignity of the other. And also, we are responsible for our own happiness. We are not responsible for the other's happiness. And the other person is not responsible for our own happiness because we are separate individuals. Our happiness, we are responsible for our own happiness. Everyone is responsible for his or her own happiness because we have separate identities. We are separate individuals. Our responsibility is limited to our own body. Our responsibility does not comes out of our body and go to other people. It's not the case. And also another characteristics of a meaningful relationship is that not respecting the other to do for ourselves. So because we are separate individuals, if we expect that the other person will do something for us, that may damage the relationship between the other person and ourselves. Why is that? Because this kind of expectation is not realistic. Because we cannot control the other person, any other people. That's not what we can control. We can control ourselves. We can expect ourselves to do something for ourselves, but it's not realistic to expect the other person to do something for ourselves. So if we hope the other person to do something for ourselves, we can request, we can ask for it. We can ask that person to see if that the other person can do something for us. So we can communicate. It's not necessary to have a expectation at first place and not communicate with that person. And if that person did not do something that you expect, and you are disappointed and you are angry at that person, that pattern of relationship is not really healthy. The healthy pattern of relationship can be that you hope somebody to do something for you, but you are aware that you cannot control that person. It's not realistic to expect that the other person knows what you think without communication. So you need to communicate that with any other people to ask if the other person can do something for you. So I think that's a more healthy pattern of relationships. And also in a meaningful relationship, you can enjoy with that person together. So you and the other person can have a good time, can have an enjoyable time together. You can share the joy with each other. And also there can be more keywords, more characteristics about a meaningful or good relationship. besides this kind of a relationship, you can find meaning outside. It means that in your life, there are many meanings besides this relationship with a particular person. You can find some other meanings outside of this relationship. You can find a meaning of achieving something. You can find a meaning getting a degree, getting a college degree. You can find a meaning working. You can find a meaning finishing some tasks in your life. And also you can find a meaning in multiple relationships. And also in the meaningful relationship, each person in the relationship is going to be better. In other words, this relationship is making each other better. This relationship can be a nutrition for each person. This relationship provides a good environment that can let each other grow better. So this kind of a relationship is not some vicious environment that makes everyone worse, but it's like a soil. It's like a rainwater to flowers. So a good relationship can raise us. This good relationship can be something like some nutrition, like a rainwater or a rich soil that can raise the flowers to flourish. And also another really important characteristic of a meaningful relationship is that we choose to go into this relationship. We are together not because we are forced to be together, but because we choose to do so. We are willing to have a relationship with each other. So this relationship is a consequence of our autonomy, the consequence of our volition. We have the volition to go inside of a relationship or to have a relationship. So a good relationship is a product of everybody's autonomy. So we have autonomy. We can choose to do something. We can choose not to do something. We can choose to hang out with a person. We can choose not to hang out with another person. So a good relationship is a product of our autonomy. And also in the meaningful relationship, we encourage the other to be themselves. So in a good relationship, it doesn't mean that we need to sacrifice ourselves and satisfy the need of the other. It doesn't mean that we need to not be ourselves. In a good relationship, we can grow. It's a good environment in which we can be ourselves. We can grow. We can have a true personal growth inside of this relationship. Also, we allow others to be themselves. We are separate, but we are really close to each other. We have a really meaningful connections with each other. We encourage each other to be their true selves. And also, we are able to deal with the interpersonal conflicts with each other in a good relationship. So you can use these keywords, or you can use these characteristics to evaluate your own relationships with other people, with your friend, with your parents, with your lovers, with your girlfriends, boyfriends, with your husbands and wives, and with your kids, to see if these relationships meet the standards or match these keywords in the meaningful relationships. And you can have a consideration. You can think about, is a relationship with this person is good enough? Some some of the keywords are matching, some of the keywords are not matching. So what's going on in this relationship? You can have an internal reflection by knowing all these keywords in the meaningful relationships. Of course, you can choose not agree with these keywords because these keywords are from the textbook. The authors of the textbook believe that these characteristics are really important characteristics of the meaningful relationships. You cannot agree with any of them. So let's go to the next part. So another question for you is about the conflicts, the interpersonal conflicts and anger in the relationships. What is the most successful experience of dealing with anger or conflicts in your relationship? So you can share, you can think about the past memory, a one-time experience that you can deal with the anger or conflict successfully in the relationship. You can share the story with yourself and the person you talk to right now. And you can pause the video right now and think about that question and answer, share your story and to the person or to yourself. Okay, so the next, this part, we are going to talk about how to manage the interpersonal conflicts and also anger in relationships. So there are some guidelines to manage conflicts and anger. So first of all, we need to have a notion, we need to have a knowledge that interpersonal conflicts may be signs of individual differences because everyone is unique. Everyone has a different set of past memories and the different unique set of experiences. And everyone may have a different educational background, family background, and also career background. So everyone is unique to compared to other people. So it's really normal to have conflicts between two persons because the two persons are quite different, and they may have a different life habits or different styles of doing things and styles of talking and styles of everything else. So it may not be the case that one person is right and that the other person is wrong. So if you look at everyone's behavior by judging their behaviors to be either right or wrong, it may not help to manage conflicts or anger for ourselves. So if you look at everyone's behaviors and their what they say, without the judgment, without judging those behaviors or those things that they say to be right or wrong, if you just objectively look at every person, you may find some differences in your knowledge or in your experiences. So do you remember that we have talked about mindfulness? Mindfulness is a good tool to manage stress. It is a good tool to improve our wellness. And also mindfulness is also a good tool to manage conflicts in the relationships. In mindfulness, it asks us to accept every information, every piece of information that is going on in the current moment without judging, without distortion, without ignoring. So it means that we do not judge, we do not evaluate any piece of the information. We do not judge every piece of information as right or wrong. We just accept them. So when you just accept them without any judgments, you may find that the individual differences are just individual differences. Everyone is unique. It's not the case that someone is wrong and some of the other person is right. And also the second guideline for managing conflicts can be that we can treat confrontation, the interpersonal confrontation, as a caring act. So when there is confrontation, where's a conflict? When there is a conflict between two persons, we can have a different perception of that confrontation or that conflict. We can transfer that confrontation into a caring act. But how to achieve that? First of all, really listen and understand what the other person says. It means that you can understand the other person's mindset. It sounds like a theory of mind that you know from the developmental psychology that when the children grow up, they gradually have a notion that, oh, other people also have their own mindsets. They have their own emotions. They have their own motivations, intentions, and also they have their own set of knowledge and perspectives. Everyone has their unique perspectives and intentions. So when we deal with the conflicts in relationships, we need to have a notion that everyone is unique. Everyone has their own intentions, perspectives, knowledge, and their own emotions and motivations. So if you want to manage the conflicts, you need to have a understanding. You need to have a knowledge about what the other person's mindset, the other person's intentions and perspectives. So how to achieve that? The way to have a knowledge about the other person's mindset is to listen and also understand what the other person says, because what the other person says reflects their own methods, the other's mindset, and also their own intentions and emotions and motivations, all that. So you need to build a connection. You need to build a channel to get to the other person. Without listening and understanding, you only know about yourself. You only know about your own intentions and motivations and perspectives. You do not know other people, even though you can see their bodies, you can see you can listen, you can hear what they say. But you don't have a channel to get to the other person's heart. So you need to build a channel so that you can get to the other person's true feelings and true hearts and their true considerations. So this time you need to really listen and understand what the other person says. And also know about yourself, identify your motivation, know about what you really want to get, and also clarify your intentions to the other. So first of all, know about your own intention. So, and also express your intentions to the other. To just make it clear what you want to get, and make sure that the other knows what you want to get, what your intentions are. And also you can talk about how the behavior affects you, how their own behaviors affect you, rather than how they are. So separate themselves with their own behaviors. Just to talk about how their own behaviors affect you. Let the other know how their own behaviors influence your own emotions or intentions and everything else. So let's summary how to treat the confrontation as a carrying act. So you need to first you create a channel to know the other person's motivations, intentions, perspectives. And also you know about your own motivations, intentions, and perspectives. And then communicate what you really think. Communicate your motivations and intentions to the other. And also to clarify how the other person's behaviors affect you. Talk about the consequences of their own behaviors. So that's how we treat confrontation as a carrying act, how we reduce the conflict and the anger in the relationship. And also another guideline to manage conflict is that when the other is speaking, listen, really listen and understand. Do not plan the next response. Because when you plan the next response, you are going to attack back. So you may have a notion that the other is attacking you by speaking, by expressing some ideas, and you want to fight back. You want to retaliate. So you plan the next response and you attack that person. You fight back. So if that case happens, you may stop the next response when the other is talking to you. But instead, you can listen and understand what the other is really saying. What is the other person's motivation, intention, perspectives? The true feelings of what is the true feelings of the other person? What is the other person wants to get? So you can do all these things when the other person is talking to you. And also you are responsible for your own feelings. Means that the other person is not responsible for your own feelings. When you have some feelings, do not blame others. It's not the other person that make you have a certain feeling. It's about you. You yourself have the feeling because those feelings emerge or form in your own mind. So you are responsible for your own feelings. They may have something, they may do something or say something that you do not expect. Or you may expect the other person to do something or say something that you want to see, but that may not happen. When that does not happen, when the other person is saying or doing something that you do not expect, of course you can choose to be angry, you can choose to be disappointed, you can choose to be sad, but you can choose not to be sad, not to be angry, not to be disappointed, because those emotions, those feelings, are inside of your own mind. You have the responsibility to managing those feelings, and also you have autonomy. You have the choice not to have those feelings or to have those feelings. The responsibility is about yourself, is on yourself. And also to manage conflicts, you can express yourselves. You can tell the other how you are struggling in this conflict or in this relationship. So express your feeling and also allow the other express the feeling to you. And the last guideline is don't walk away from any conflicts. Just confront the conflict. Just to directly face the conflict and see what happened in the conflict and manage the conflict. If you escape from the conflict, it's still there. It does not disappear. You guys always have the conflicts, and sometimes you suppress the feelings, suppress the conflicts intentionally, but somehow in the future, in one day, it will blow up. The conflicts are still there. You need to face the conflicts someday in the future. Anyway, so when there's a conflict, do not escape from the conflict, just directly manage the conflict. You can use the guidelines we have talked about just now. You can, what you can do is, you can do a lot of things, express yourself, know about yourself, know the other persons, and allow other person to express, to see what happened, to see what caused the conflicts. So here are the ways or approaches or strategies to manage conflicts in personal relationships. And another topic I want to share with you is about forgiving. So how to forgive the other. I think forgiving is a process of repairing the relationship. So first of all, what is the reason to forgive? Why to forgive a person? So the reason for forgiving the other person is that we need to move on. We need to go on. We need to. We cannot be stuck in the past memory. We need to live in the present moment. So I think mindfulness is also a good way to help us forgive one person, because if we are mindful enough, we do not live in the past memories. We live in the present moment. In the present moment, there's only something happening in the present moment we do not care about, or we do not really think about what the behaviors of the other person in the past memory, in the past. So that's why we need to forgive. We need to go on. We need to have a new life for every new moment. And also, forgiveness is not a one-time event. It's not a case that we suddenly forgive someone. It's a process. It's a process of repairing our mindset, repairing the relationship. It's a process that we gradually forgive somebody. And also, another thing is like how to forgive ourselves. Sometimes we do something wrong. We have done something wrong to the other person, or we have done something wrong to ourselves. We have said something wrong to the other person or to ourselves. But we cannot be stuck in the past. We need to go on. We need to live in the present moment. But how to forgive ourselves? So in the textbook, here are the suggestions given by Cornelius and Wade. It's called the 4 R's. It's a process of forgiving ourselves. So it's the 4 R's are on page 218. And the first R is to take the responsibility. So you will realize that if you have done something wrong, and you realize that you are responsible for that behavior. It means that you choose to do that, and you bear the consequences of that behavior. You are responsible for that behavior, not other one else. And when you take the responsibility, you realize that you have done something wrong, and you have the responsibility to repair that, to repair the damage caused by that behavior. And the second step the following second step is remorse. You may feel really guilty. You're like judging yourself. You're like complaining to yourself that why you have done something wrong to the other person or to yourself. So it's a process of remorse. It's a natural reaction when you feel that you have done something wrong. A really strong sense of guilty. And the turning point happens in the third R. It's called a restoration. You try something to restore. You try something to repair the damage caused by something you have done wrong. You repair the damage in the relationship. You repair the damage in your own mindset, in your own heart. That's an attempt that you try to restore. You try to go back to the life before the moment that you have done something wrong. And the last R is called a renewal. It means that your relationship with the other person or yourself go to a new stage because you can successfully repair the damage, repair the relationship. So you could go your relationship and yourself go to a new stage. So it's called a renewal. So through this process, you can forgive yourself and make yourself better, and also have a personal growth after this process of forgiving yourself. And next part, we want to talk about how to communicate effectively or successfully. Actually, we have mentioned some principles and also strategies of how to communicate with the other person in the part of managing conflict and anger. And also in this part, we are going to have a more detailed introduction of how to have a effective communication. So first of all, we need to understand why there are barriers in communication. Why we cannot have a good, effective communication? What are the barriers in communication? What brings us the barriers in communication? And also in the textbook, it mentions Carl Rogers' sessions, Carl Rogers' understanding of the barriers in communication. I think it's really helpful for us to know about why we have barriers in communication, why we cannot communicate effectively. So Carl Rogers believes that we have a tendency in our mind. We tend to evaluate and judge other people's statements. When the other people say something, we are so quick to evaluate and judge what other people say. That process happens so automatically, so quickly, so that we sometimes we are not aware. We are constantly judging and evaluating everything, including other people's statements, including other people's behavior. We are so quickly, we evaluate and judge their behaviors and their words so quickly and so automatically. So as a consequence, there's too much judging in our mind, but there's too less understanding. As a result, we cannot take the other's perspectives because we are judging them constantly and all the time. So there's no channel for us, no room for us to take the other's perspective. There's no room for us to really understand what the other people or what the other is saying or understanding or hearing. So we are stuck in our own expectations and assumptions. Because we have assumptions and expectations about what other people should be like or are supposed to be like. And we have those expectations and assumptions. And when the other people are saying something or doing something, our expectations starts to work. Those expectations and assumptions guide us to have a judgment, to have an evaluation. And it seems like we are constantly monitoring the performance of other people. We have a standard. We have a grading rubrics on our hand. And when the other person is starting to say something or do something, we are using this grading rubrics to evaluate the performance of the other person. So that brings the barriers in communication. So that's why we cannot communicate successfully, because we are not trying to understand or see the other's perspectives. But we are doing is to use a grading rubric to give a grade to the other person. We are constantly evaluating and judging the other person instead of truly understanding what the other person wants, feels, sees. So that brings the barriers in communication. So how to solve that problem? How to remove that barrier? So Carl Rogers' suggestion is that each person can speak only after he or she restates the ideas and the feelings of the previous speaker. So in the conversation, how to have an effective communication. When the other speaks, say something to ourselves, first step is to restate what the other person says, what other person is feeling, what the other person is thinking about, what's the other's perspective. We need to restate that. And after that, we can speak, we can express ourselves, we can communicate with that person. So why to do that? Because that step makes sure that we truly understand the other person in the conversation. Otherwise, we are going to evaluate and judge the other person instead of truly understanding the other person. You know, there are two, seems like there are two systems that are working at the same time in the communication. One system is judging, is evaluating with expectations beforehand. The other system, in the other system, we are understanding, we create a channel to get the other person's true heart. We understand that person's feelings, perspectives, intentions, motivations, emotions, and all that. So there seems that there are two systems that are working at the same time. Our mind has limited capacity, you know, that we cannot do the two things together. Sometimes we can have the two systems together, but the first system, the evaluation, the judging system, is competing with the second system. If the first system is working too well, it covers the second system. It feels like that way. It covers the second system so that we cannot use the second system to communicate. So Carl Rogers' suggestion is that we need to remove the cover above the second system. We need to rely less on the first system, which evaluates and judges the statements of the other person. We need to use more the second system. We need to truly understand the feelings and the thoughts of the other person. To realize that we need to restate the ideas and feelings of the other person so that we can use the second system successfully. So here are some suggestions of effective communication by the authors of the textbook, and I think these suggestions are from the understandings of Carl Rogers. So first, listen and understand, because we need to use the second system to communicate. Listener need to accurately summarize what the speaker said before the listener expresses his or her own ideas and the feelings. So take a moment to really understand what the speaker said to the listener. So the listening and the understanding don't only mean that you understand every word the speaker says to you. Instead, you need to go further. You need to understand the true feelings and the true perspectives behind these words. You do not only understand the words, but you understand their true hearts, their true feelings and emotions and motivations, intentions, and also perspectives. So that's the meaning of listening and understanding. And when you communicate, use some specific and concrete words. You can make yourself clear, clarify your own intentions and perspectives, so that you need to use some words that clearly express your meanings and feelings. So if you use some words that are really blurry or general, you may not express yourselves clearly, and the other person may understand you. And also, when you communicate, you say something, you make personal statements, you say what you feel, what you see, and what you think, what you want, rather than ask a lot of questions. So express yourself is more important. Expressing yourself is more important than asking the other questions. And then also next suggestion. So when you communicate, no judging, please. Do not use the first system. Do not use the judging system to judge the other. So so when you say you never think about anybody but yourself, it's a judgment. You may say, oh, that's your opinion, but it's also a judgment. It's an evaluation of that person's dignity or that person's personality or that person's worth. So you directly label that person as somebody never thinks about other people. You label that person as somebody that is selfish. So it's a judgment. You can say something that is concrete. You can say, oh, you have done something, you have said something, and those behaviors and those words impact myself, impact ourselves. How the other behaviors and words impact ourselves' feelings and perspectives. can say something concrete. You can say how they done, how they have done, how they have said. But you say something like you are selfish and you do not care about me. You never think about anybody but yourself. Those statements are judgments. And also, communication, be honest and direct. So you want something, how you feel, just directly express that feelings and ideas. And also respect for each other's differences. We need to aware that everyone is different. Everyone has different habits. Everyone has different idea of how to do things. Everyone has a different style of behaving and saying. And also, another suggestion is that when we express ourselves, when we communicate, we need to make sure that our verbal language, what we say, and the nonverbal language, that's where we express through our body postures or any other facial expressions. Those expressions need to be consistent. So what we say and what we so nonverbal language includes our facial expressions, includes our the body language, how to move our bodies and our body postures. Those are included in are categorized as the nonverbal language. And the verbal language is something we say, use our mouth. So verbal language and the nonverbal language need to be consistent. And also the last suggestion is that we are open to express feelings. So express your feelings, it's okay. So sometimes we are reluctant to express our true feelings. And we may think that if we access our true feelings, something bad will happen. It's not the case. So in the communication, express your own feelings and also allow others to express the feelings. Because we have feelings and we have mindsets, we have minds, we have knowledge, we have judgments, we have evaluations. That system is working, but we also have feelings, we have emotions, motivations, intentions, and all that. So the communications of the feelings are also really important in the communication. So we do not only build a channel to know the ideas of each other, but we also need to build a channel to understand the feelings of each other. So here are the suggestions of how to effectively communicate with the other person. So my own understanding of the key to the effective communication is that expressing the feelings rather than judging. So like I just mentioned before, just now, there seems there are two systems that are working. In the first system, is our mind is judging, is evaluating with the assumptions and expectations that we have. And the second system, in the second system, we are building a channel to exchange our feelings with each other. So we express our feelings to the other, and the other is also expressing the feelings to us, so that we know each other by knowing each other's feelings. And that's more important for the effective communication. Because that second system seems to be the foundation of our mindset, foundation of our spiritual world or psychological world. So feelings are more foundational or fundamental than the word of judging and evaluating. So my own understanding of that is express the feelings to the other when communicating instead of judging the other. So also in my own life, I use that principle to communicate with other people. I think that it works better. At least I will not irritate the other person. If I judge a lot, I may make the other person really angry. But if I just express my feelings to that person knows about my feelings and would not be angry. At least I can. It has that consequence. And also, more beneficial consequences can be that the other person is really truly understanding me, instead of being angry at me or attacking me or judging me. Yeah. So the next part, we talk about the moment the relationship doesn't work. We need to end a relationship, how that happens. So how to cope with ending a relationship. So if a relationship ends, how do we cope with that? Because a relationship is really important to us, and when any kind of a relationship ends, we need to recover from that moment. First of all, when you end a relationship, you have a process of grieving. So sometimes we lost some really important things, and we lost a family member. We've lost a pet ourselves, and we end the relationship. We have a process of grieving. So in the process of grieving, we express the negative feelings, such as sadness, such as guilt, sometimes, such as shame, and maybe there are a lot of negative emotions in the process of grieving. So it's a process that we gradually realize and aware that we lost that important person or thing or pet. So when you end a relationship, after that ending of the relationship, allow yourself to grieve. Allow yourself to go through that process. You do not have to force yourself to smile. You do not have to force yourself to be normal, to be happy. So when any kind of emotions come to your mind, do not control it. Do not suppress it. Do not remove it. Just let it go. So it's like a process of being mindful. So when any kind of emotion come to your mind, let it go. Any kind of ideas come to your mind, let them go. When you have those negative emotions, express them. So when these negative emotions are expressed, they will not be suppressed. They will not be stuck in your own mind. So when you not allow yourself to grieve, when you do not allow yourself to set free those negative emotions will be suppressed into your subconsciousness or unconsciousness. So when you are not allow your own negative emotions to emerge in your consciousness, will hide into your unconsciousness. That causes more problems to your psychological health. So when those negative emotions come, just let it go, let them express themselves. And also give yourself time to grieve, give yourself time to recover from that traumatic event, traumatic moment. And also allow yourself to express your anger if you have anger. And also you can have different perspectives on the other's actions. So you sometimes you may think, oh, the other is attacking me, the other is intentionally hurting me when the relationship is not working well. But you can dissociate the relationship, the connection between the other person's bad intention and the other person's actions. So you may think that the other person's actions are not hurting me. The other is not intentionally hurting me or damaging this relationship. So this person's actions, behaviors are just that. So this process is called depersonalizing the other's actions. Do not take their actions personally. Means that dissociate the connection with the other's aggressive intention and the other person's actions. And also be responsible for your own actions. So you have those behaviors, you have said something, be responsible for it. You're responsible for your actions. You do something that's because of your autonomy. You have the autonomy to do something, to say something, or not to do something, or not to say something. You have the responsibility. You're in charge of your own actions. So these are suggestions or the efforts that you make by yourself, how to think about that, how to express your feelings. But also you can also find social support. Express your feelings to your friends. Let the friends comfort you. So find the social support, find those friends, find your parents, find anybody that you love, and share your feelings with them. And also forgive yourself. So you can use the 4 R's to go through the process of gradually forgiving yourself, gradually recovering from that moment. And also when you want to express feelings, when you want to recover yourself, you can write journals. In a journal, you can write anything that you want to write. Write down anything that you want to express. So that writing the journals help yourself to grieve, help yourself to express your feelings. So let the feelings go, let the thoughts go. So those thoughts and feelings will not be stuck in your unconsciousness. And there can be more suggestions, maybe more approaches to deal with the ending of the relationship. You can think about any successful strategies that you take to deal with the ending of the relationship. And right now, you can summarize 3 to 5 strategies to build good relationships or build meaningful relationships by using the knowledge that we talk about in the lecture today, and also with your own experiences. So you can pause the video right now and think about 3 to 5 strategies to build good relationships, and then write them down in your notebook So you can use the knowledge that we've learned today. You think, oh, this knowledge, these strategies are really helpful. And also you can get the strategies from all your previous life experiences, and you think, oh, you have done this to build the good relationships. You can write them down. And just to summarize 3 to 5 strategies to build good relationships, you can write down your answers. Please really do that right now when you hear this sentence, because I think this activity, this small activity, is really helpful for you to have a personal growth in your life, because building relationships, having good relationships is a lifelong lesson we need to learn for our entire life. It's not just for passing this class. It's not just for successfully getting a good grade for this class. It's also for yourself's life. If you can summarize several strategies to have good relationships, it may help you to have a better life, to have a better psychological health, to have a really solid help for your health, for your life. Okay, so you can pause the video right now and start this activity. So that's the end of the lecture. So here are some key points to know about. First, the key point is that you can know about the characteristics of meaningful relationships. So what the meaningful or good relationships are like. So there are many characteristics we have talked about at the beginning of the lecture. And also, second key point is that we need to know the guidelines to manage the interpersonal conflicts and also anger. And the last point, key point, is that the ways of the approaches to communicate effectively. So what are the suggestions to effective communication? So we need to know these suggestions. So it's very clear. The structure of today's lecture is very clear. So we have talked about the 3 main themes. The features or characteristics of meaningful relationships. The second is the guidelines to manage conflicts and anger. The third structure is that we talk about the suggestions to effective communication. Okay, so let's talk about the journal assignments for this week, Journal 7. It's also about your relationship. So choose a relationship of yours, any kind of a relationship is okay. Choose a relationship of yours and reflect this relationship in this journal. So in this journal, please answer 3 questions. The first question is that reflect and write about the quality of this relationship. You can use the characteristics of meaningful relationships on the page from 211 to 213 to evaluate this relationship. So from page 211, yeah, that's the beginning of this chapter. You can look at read the summaries, the list of characteristics of meaningful relationships, and also compare those your own relationship that you choose to this characteristics to see if the relationship that you choose is a good relationship. And also the second question is that what are the barriers that stop you from improving this relationship or improving the quality of this relationship. You can talk about any difficulties or barriers in the something that stop you from improving the quality of this relationship. The third question is, what are you going to do to improve the quality of this relationship in the future? You can combine what you have learned in the class. So you have learned something, how to manage the conflict and anger, how to have an effective communication with the other person. You can use these strategies to have a plan, to have a plan for what to do in the future to improve the quality of this relationship in the future. So here are the criteria. So you can see for the first question, it's 4 points. The second question is 4 points, and the third question is 4 points. So in the first question, you need to clearly evaluate this relationship. So for the sake of the space of this journal, you do not have to mention every characteristics of the meaningful relationship mentioned in the textbook. You can choose 2 or 3 or even more characteristics of meaningful relationships to evaluate the relationship that you choose for this journal. And the second question, you need to clearly describe these barriers that stop you having a high quality relationship with that person. And the third question, you need to clearly write about the strategies that you are going to use to improve the quality of the relationship. Yeah, here are the criteria for judging your journal assignment. And also, we need to mention that it's due in October 10th in the midnight. So next, on a Saturday of this week, not that next week. So you may notice that the Journal 6 is also due on October 10th. Do you remember last week in the journal that has 2 weeks? You have 2 weeks to write the Journal 6. But for Journal 7, you do not have more time to do something. So it's due this Saturday and in the midnight. So on this Saturday, on October 10th, you have 2 journals due, Journal 6 and Journal 7. So make sure that you finish both journals by the same date. Okay, so hopefully this lecture help you to have a better quality of relationships in the future, help you to have a personal growth, more personal growth in your life. And have a good week, and see you next week.